Yes, guys, and a welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102. The Three-Man Network game catch-up. And I'm calling it catch-up because when I first started doing this, the videos on this, which was so many years ago, I never called it part 1, part 2, and it's a good job I didn't really because we'd be on part 2000 by now. So this is a bit of a catch-up really. As you know, we haven't really been playing this as much as we ever used to for one reason or another. But recently we hit it again, and we had a session on Sunday, we had a session on Tuesday. Let me remind you where we're at here. Season 146. It's the business end of the season. I'm firing this up as a solo game, just for easiness. And let me also remind you, this is the October 2013 update, which was the update at the time because we started it in December 2013. Also the Tapani 2.19, which was the up-to-date patch at the time. So 146 seasons we're almost going to conclude, and you can see business end of the season, and this is where we're at. Now, to be fair, you may recall from the previous update, Ian was absolutely killing it. He had a commanding lead, he had games in hand at one point, and he was only a few points off. The last session we had on Tuesday, for me personally, was a great session. Ian drew, and then Ian drew with Pep, and then he lost in the league, and we were bang level on points, level games, and I was top on goal difference. That took a turn right at the end of the session yesterday. Tuesday. No, I'm not talking about yesterday. Sorry. Right then, and I was fucking seething. I had such a good session, so I was really pissed off. But it is what it is. Ian won, so that's where we're at then. 8 league games to go. Ian leads away with 78. Man City, me 76, and Pep 74. Now, let's talk about Pep for a minute, right? What year are we in? We're in the year 2160. Now, let me remind you, for anyone that's followed this story, Pep hasn't won the title, and I want to say it's 21-22. Yeah, there you go. He hasn't won a title for just a couple of years. And I actually didn't realise he's actually only 4 points off the pace. Now, I've still got to go and play Pep yet. So that's going to be crucial. During this session for Ian yesterday, that was harsh. That was a real harsh one for me because that would have really put me in control. But you know what? Again, like I said, it is what it is. Ian is looking for a hat-trick of titles now. The record, of course, I hold, which was right here, 6 league titles in a row. I think I've got the league. I've got the league, and I think I've got the FA Cup. Pep's got the League Cup, and I think Ian's got the Champions League in terms of successive titles. Yeah, so the League Cup then, let's talk about the League Cup. You may recall, this is Pep's to lose. He's in the final, he's against AI, and he's playing Gillingham. Gillingham, of course, from the First Division. So to remind you then, I bowed out in the quarters to Pep, and Ian bowed out to Gillingham on penalty. So it was all Pep's. It really is all Pep's. Over to the FA Cup then. The FA Cup, well, if we all make that semis, you know it's going to happen, just like the Champions League, and there it is. I've landed Walsall, and Pep and Ian will clash for the FA Cup. Let me remind you, the holders are Ian with 2 on the bounce. Let me just go to the League Cup and see who the holders of the League Cup are. There you see, Ian, me, myself before that, there you go. So, and finally, the Champions League. The Champions League is like this. There you go, the quarterfinals is set up. We all won our groups of phase 2. We'll all be fancy to go through to the semis, and then it's that draw, isn't it? You know, I want to avoid Ian and Pep. I would rather take the winners of Barcelona and Inter. But, you know, what can you say? In terms of the squads, let's have a look now. Then somebody asked me for they wanted stats. Now, when people want stats, you're going to have to be a bit more specific as to what's accessible. Somebody asked me about regens, all the regens of Ronaldo. Well, that ain't possible, you know. In terms of stats this season, Henrik Grant is the average rating. That's my regen of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And that's Ian's regen of Didier Drogba, leading the way on average rating. That is only league, bear in mind. Over to goals. Tadic of Pep, I forget who he is, the regen of, but he's leading the way. Joint, shall I say, with Grant again. And assists, we'll have a look at that. It's Henrik Grant again. Grant is leading the way. He's having a fabulous season for me, really is. So let's have a look at the squads then. Pep's made a few signings towards the transfer deadline. Nothing really jumping out the page. I think it's really for youngsters, that sort of stuff. Mitchell Hobbs. He's not actually a bad player. Now, Pep, as you know, or may recall, he is playing wingers. So Mitchell Hobbs isn't actually a bad player at all. He's got some good credentials. And he's an ex-Pep player. Makes you wonder, don't it? Makes you wonder. That is definitely... Do you know what? I checked that because I wondered why Pep got rid of him. And Pep, I feel, forgets to look at things like that. I won't touch that cunt with a fucking barge pole. Look at that. You know, and I think he's... it's fair to say he's dropped the bollock there. I feel he has. And Pontus Holm, £20 million. I like him. I think he's... let's have a look at his history first. That's not too bad. But I don't know actually, because he's a lot younger. I don't know, but I mean, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt and just see. Remember, this is an older version, so I haven't got the fourth column of attributes applied, so we haven't got that option of being able to say they're injury prone, which sometimes is good, because sometimes it means you've got to take the risk and you've got to look at the injury history. But generally looking at him, he's actually a very, very good player for Pep. So we'll see how Pep flares up there. Let's go to the current champions, Manchester United. Ian hasn't really bought anybody recently, so he brought Allah for £10 million. Wonder who he is. I think I remember. No, it's not Salah, before anybody says. Salah is in the game on the 2013 update, but he's piss poor. But I'm sure I remember seeing who that is. I can't remember his name. The Serbian is quite decent, actually. Ian, I think we've all got our methods of what we buy, and I'm sure we all question each other in our head. You know, some buys I think some purchases that Pep makes, some youngsters I'm always a little bit sceptical about. I think some of Ian's, not his youngsters, but I feel sometimes like, I think he's quite decent. Let me just see. I don't think he's made too many bad signings, in all fairness. Now, this guy here, Nuri Atalay, I like him, if I'm honest with you, and I would like to get him. And Ian's not using him. He's got him loan listed in the Resis. So I think there was a tactical purchase there. Buy him ahead of me, because I think I went for him, because I think he's great. I'm a bit surprised Ian don't use him, considering he does use fullbacks. And you can see his non-competitive games in the Resis, which are obviously proper games. 8-1-3. He's done really, really well. I'd like to get him, but there's no point in me making an offer to Ian, because he's not stupid. I'll do the same. He'll want a part exchange of some kind. Now, for me, we have been a bit busy of late. In fact, we have been busy, but I'm not going to indulge into who I'm looking at as we approach the deadline, because I don't want any of those stream sniping motherfuckers nicking my players. So we brought in Kem Ari. Now, Kem Ari, I bought him purely for DMC. I felt that I'm struggling with DMC this season. I've lacked a real solid DMC. No doubt about that. So I brought this guy in. And he's not done... it's 7-3. It's not too bad. Should be doing better. And I'll tell you what I've got as a backup in a moment. We've also recently brought this guy in, Lev Dakov. And 29, but I like him. I do like him. But I'll tell you my little system I'm playing at the minute, right? I'm playing essentially the Fibonacci. I'm sure you all know what Fibonacci is. Fibonacci is a tactic created by an unnamed Dutchman, whose name I will not repeat. I made my own version of Fibonacci before Fibonacci came out, and I called it Boom. And I tend to have a little bit of rage when I'm losing, and I just, fuck this, let's try it. And I change tactics like they're going out of fashion. So I moved on to Fibonacci, which essentially is Boom. Yeah, sorry, I was going to show. So what I'm doing at the minute, the guy I've got in DMC, Thomas Yaralim, is actually a DC. And you can see his last few games. So I looked at his attributes, and I played to the attributes. Passing 20, tackling 20, decisions 20. He's really, he can be my captain. Let's be honest, he can really be my captain. I don't feel there's any need to train him to be a DMC. Ian's tracking him. But we tend to have players that we're tracking. One of our rivals get them and we forget to take them off our shortlist. And then every so often we will say, can we all remove each other's players? So let me know your views on that, guys. If you play to players' attributes or their position. But his last few games, you know, I think I've had him in there for at least 4 or 5 games. Let's go back to the Champions League against... yeah, see, we've had him there for a few games. So, yeah, I can't grumble, can I? Can't grumble. Notable players then of regens. So a quick gander at this. For me, we've said we've got Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We've got, now, Vargas, I think, is James Rodriguez. And we've got Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo regen is sitting right there. For Pep has got the one, the only, Lionel Messi. But this could be his last season, let's be honest. I've even noted it. Because the regens tend to regen exactly, balance, bravery, flair. They remain exactly as is on this particular version. Before the updates came in and sort of, they do alter on nowadays updates. But he's having a great season, isn't he? He really is having a great season. Trying to look if there's anyone... Pamic. He bought Pamic off me, didn't he? Yeah, Pamic is Modric. But I think he's had a lot of issues. And I'm sure... No, he's not having any issues as of yet. So a couple for Pep there. Trying to think if there's anybody else. No one specific. And we said we saw Drogba for Ian. Who else has Ian got? That's notable. It don't really matter who the regens are. It's you know, it's how they perform. Let's be honest. I don't think there's anyone specific. Maybe I've missed a couple of obvious. But yeah. So that's a catch up then on the 3-man game as we continue to get a little bit of consistency now on playing. I'd like to think if we get a session in Sunday, we may just finish that season. And it's the real business end of the season. It really is. And until next time from me, guys, take it easy.